Welcome, class. Today we're going to talk about how to use the ICD-9CM manual, or more specifically, how to properly locate the diagnosis code in the ICD-9CM manual. This may be a complicated system to understand. There are about 14,000 codes currently in this manual. However, if you understand the location process and how to go about coding it, this can be very simple. You do not need to memorize nor read through 14,000 codes. So we're going to go through each of these slides, and I'm going to bring up an example of one diagnosis, and I want you to take out all your manuals, and I want you to code along with me, okay? You ready? Here we go. The first step in accurate coding is you want to make sure that you identify the main term in the diagnosis. So for example, we're going to take the diagnosis of congestive heart failure. Now, many times when I'm teaching or I'm giving an instruction to students, and I say, okay, so our main term is going to be, and usually a response will be, oh, we're going to start with heart, or they'll start with congestive, which on the outside in, I completely understand because as a beginning coder, I definitely did the same. However, what you need to understand is that your main term is always, always, always the problem. In other words, it's the disease, it's the syndrome, etc. You do not want to look for the anatomic site. In this case, it's the heart. And congestive is just a proponent or basically an adjective describing the condition or disease. So in this case, when you're identifying the main term for the diagnosis, you're going to go to failure. Failure will be the term we look up in the next step. Okay? Step 2. Now that we know what the main term is, we want to locate it in our alphabetic index in the ICD-9CM manual. Where is the alphabetic index? Hint, it is not volume 1. Believe it or not, there's actually 3 volumes in the ICD-9CM manual. And the way it is set up is your first section of the book is generally an instructions and how to use it, the manual, what are the different conventions involved, what are the guidelines for using the manual, and even chapter specific guidelines. But we're going to talk about that another day. Today, I want you to know how to accurately code. So our first volume that we're going to encounter when we're flipping through our manual is volume 2. Volume 2 is the alphabetic index. A lot of questions from students are usually like, well, if we're supposed to start with the alphabetic index, why isn't that the first volume? Well, it quite literally is the first volume you encounter when you open the book, but technically it is volume 2. I gotta be honest with you, I don't have a great answer for that. I don't know why the World Health Organization decided in their judgment that they should have volume 2 listed first, then volume 1, then volume 3. But that's the way they have it set up, and we just had to understand the makeup of the manual. So there are 3 volumes located in the ICD-9CM manual. The first volume is volume 1, which is the tabular list. Volume 2 is the alphabetic index. And volume 3 is your hospital inpatient procedures. But currently on this slide, we are focusing on volume 2, which is the alphabetic index. So now that we have the word failure, I want you to go ahead and find failure in the index. The index is set up alphabetically, as it says alphabetic index. So you want to make sure you just look for the F's and then jump to failure. And then your next term or subterm is going to be the anatomic site. So as we said, step 3 would be reviewing your subterms. So in this case, you had congestive and you had heart. Heart would be the next subterm I would use in order to locate the code, followed by congestive. And once we find the code, what we need to do next is make sure that we don't have any cross-reference instructions. So sometimes when you're in the index, it may not give you a code. It may actually say in italics, C, C also, C condition. These are considered cross-reference instructions, and generally it'll give you the disease, the syndrome that you should be looking for along with the anatomic site. So please, like I always tell all my students, the ICD-9CM manual is a giant book of breadcrumbs, and all it does is lead you to different codes. As long as you can remember that, you can have your anxieties put at ease and just follow the steps. Step 5, verify the code in the tabular list. Where is the tabular list? So as we talked about it earlier, it's not volume 2, it's actually volume 1. So volume 1 is the next volume that we will kind of go into once we finish with volume 2. And volume 1 basically gives us all of our codes. It gives us all the numeric codes, it gives us our V codes, it gives us our E codes. And all these codes can be found in volume 1. Along with the code also has a code description. And many times with these code descriptions, what they do is they'll tell you to code first underlying disease, or they may ask you to code an additional code. And if that's the case, just as long as documentation supports it, you can go ahead and look for that code that it refers you to in the tabular list. Do not code from the convention, meaning under the code description, it will have code additional code or code additional disease. And then it will have in italics the disease and probably in parentheses a code or a code range. You don't want to just go from there. You want to take that code or code range and also research it in the tabular list. Once you have done that and you can confirm the code, you can go ahead and apply it. Well, that's pretty much all the steps to accurate coding. Thank you for joining on the lesson. I hope this helps you out. And just remember, golden rule of coding, never code from the index. So once you find your code in volume 2, please refer to volume 1 and confirm it and verify it in the tabular list. All right, class, thank you so much. Have a good one.